Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Mark from Solo Games, and today we're going to have a longer video, maybe a little sad, maybe I get a little angry, about the current state of Magic. Now, I did a video just a couple days ago about the future of Magic, the next 3 years, all the product lineups and things like that. And after making that video, after talking to my friends about that video, after just reading all your comments and discussions and other people putting their thoughts in, it really got me started thinking about the contents of this video, which is, where's Magic going? What is the future of Magic? Is this the end? I know a lot of people are saying, hey, Magic's been around for 30 years, but this is the year. This is the year mark that Magic the Gathering will die. Look, all the players are bleeding, reserve lists sell off, people don't care anymore, all this stuff, right? What is this? Why is there like Teletubby fighting a Bart Simpson's going up against a Gundam of my Magic cards? What's going on? I don't even recognize this game anymore. I get it. All of that is crazy. But you know what my real opinion is? In my honest opinion, and this is just my thoughts, right? I don't think Magic's going to die. Not this year, not 10 years from now, but I do think longer term, this is a major turning point. And whether this turning point will have major repercussions for Magic is to be seen. I do think, though, there are a lot of changes that are coming down the line, and some people are going to love it, and a lot of people are going to hate it. So today, let's spend the time to talk about it. Magic has realized that basically they cannot sell their own IP. In fact, their IP has plateaued. People's interest in Liliana, in Chandra, Jace, all this stuff, all this mainline character, Garruk, Avacyn, it's kind of plateaued. It's okay, it's not great, it's not terrible, but they're not going to get new players. And the older players, they have kids, they're growing up, they're kind of just disinterested. They start disengaging. And, even if you're an avid drafter, you play Magic all the time, how much product can you really buy, right? So around that 2019 era, Magic had a great idea to pump fuel, get all the players really excited about Magic again. It's called the Fire Design. And this is where all the showcase card, different frames, different foiling standards, all the collector's editions, set boosters, the list cards, your old school callback cards, Secret Lair, all this extra product lines started coming out around that time. And I don't blame Wizard, man, because to be honest, it takes a force of will, of unimaginable power to make the players love Magic's IP or even understand what it is. I mean, that's what it is. Nobody cares about the stories. You can sell many books as you want, but people don't really care. Now, part of that, I blame Wizard. I blame that Wizard of the Coast has not put enough effort into making their IP meaningful. The other part of it too is I blame the story writing. Some of that story writing is just terrible. Nowadays, when we've read, basically realistic stories like A Song of Ice and Fire, right? All these, like The Witcher, where, characters' motives aren't just good or evil. They're very blended. We don't want to go back to stories that are just like pure good or pure evil. It's all about good versus evil and good will always win. It's so boring. And I think that's really the part of the Magic storyline for me that's just not interesting. I want to discover the past. I want to know about Urza. Urza feels like a complicated character. He's both good and bad. But there's not that much exploration. There's not really a lot of like understanding. And then now we're culminating all this like Phyrexia War or whatever. And it's just like, oh yeah, okay, cool. He is what he is. It's not interesting to me anymore. And of course, because the IP has plateaued, the player base has plateaued. And look, yes, building your IP is really hard, right? Wizards Coast, in their darkest hour, made a tainted pack to try and attempt to seize the day. Now, did it work? Was it intentionally where they're going to be? Who knows? And maybe we won't find out for another maybe 3 to 5 years. But we are definitely set on a new path, a new turning point, that rather than pushing Wizard of the Coast's own IP and pushing their own ideas and identity, they're going to brand with everyone else. Everybody else who has popularity, who has even a sliver of hope, sliver of a player base that's not Magic, come in, we'll basically dilute our own IP, Magic's IP, to push your IP. Now, on the positive side, this is really cool. If you like Assassin's Creed, guess what? You actually get a card game that's pretty well designed, has very nice rules, has good interactions on the stack, and you have all this other cards in the card pool that you can interact with. That is actually pretty cool. But as you add more and more and more and more of these things into Magic, what happens to the old Magic identity? What happens to what makes Magic Magic? It starts to erode. People don't care anymore because we have Transformers fighting against Optimus Prime, fighting against some Gundam, right? Kicking Bart Simpson in the face, and then Rick Grimes comes over with Lucille the Bat and hits your Necron, warrior for 3,000 damage. That's basically where we are with Magic now, right? What's different? It's basically Magic is becoming what, Weiss? It's a spin-off series with everything. Pretty soon we're gonna have Attack on Titan. Rent a girlfriend, okay? Rent a girlfriend Magic. Before we get any further, let's talk about how this started, right? I think at the core, you got to remember, in 1993, 30 years ago, when Wizards of the Coast didn't even have Magic as IP. They were just a company trying to build RPG games, and along came this guy named Richard Garfield, Dr. Richard Garfield, okay, PhD, comes in and tries to sell his product. Richard did not try to build a game that's just all about, oh, hey guys, if you take my game, you're gonna become $1 billion brand in 30 years. That's not what he said. He pitched the game very simply. Hey, look how fun it is. Plus, it's a game that doesn't even intrude in your main game. You can have Dungeons and Dragons, and between games, when you're waiting for players, whatever, you pull out 2 decks and you can battle each other as wizards. And they're quick, easy to learn, and simple rules, and it's just amazing. The second part is, look, he built a really good game. Magic has the ability to be a very asymmetric game of color identity, different colors that have balance. They are balanced, but also imbalanced. There's weakness and strength of every color. That makes the game so much more interesting, and it builds for long-term potential, right? But at the core, all these things that, all this effort, design, everything, artwork put into Magic, all of it was meant for one thing. Because it was about product first. It was about the players. It was about building something that was really cool, not the money that you're going to earn. But now, 30 years after, the whole idea, the whole equation has been flipped. Every single product we see, from your regular draft boosters, set boxes, to set boosters, to your collector's boosters, to Commander Masters, your Lord of the Rings, you got your remasters, you got your modern masters, and all of this stuff. All these things, collector's bundles, gift edition bundles, all of these things were always meant to do exactly this: extract more money from their own player base. It's now money first, product later. Did you know Wizards of the Coast in the last 4 years actually had 3 price increases? I think a lot of players probably just shouldered it. They didn't know it. It didn't really affect their wallet too much, and it came slowly enough that you could blame it on, inflation, all this other stuff, right? Other reasons external to Wizard why you're paying more for this game. And players just kind of sat around and let it happen. And all of this is totally fine until, of course, Wizards of the Coast pulled the second lever. And that was to expand the product line of each and every product, right? And have this consistently more product shoved down everybody's throat. See, about 4 years ago, before this whole fire design, before all this stuff, you had one product to buy, which is the booster box. There was no draft booster, there was no set boosters, collector's booster, jumpstart boosters, right? All this stuff. And Commander precons, let me tell you, they happen once a year. Not once every set, not in between sets now that we have, right? We didn't have gift bundles, all this other crazy stuff, right? And then the second lever they pulled was increase prices on all this stuff. So it's not just like giving you more product, and every single product went up in price. And lastly, increase that release cycle, because it wasn't enough to sell 3 to 4 products a year. We had to go 5, 6, 7. And nowadays we're selling about 9 to 10 products a year. That is a drastic increase from what it was before. And on top of that, we're adding more product lines. You have your special Universe Beyond commander decks, precons, secret layers, all these things that are external, tangential to your Magic game, but nevertheless part of the whole thing. And that's basically where we are now, right? At first, all this new product cycle, release cycle got people excited because look, every single time you were bored of Magic, there was 2 more sets to talk about. There was, previews happening. There was another set about to release, and you could always stay fresh. There was something to talk about that's new. Nowadays, go ask anybody out there. Who's really staying on top of previews? When there's way too many things to preview and see and everything, no one wants to talk about it. And on the design side, more and more mistakes are happening. The design is being diluted. Because look, if you're asking the same team that used to build 4 products to suddenly build 10 products, what do you think is going to happen to the product quality of every single set? It's going to drastically decrease because more people are making mistakes. They're designing things that are way too overpowered or way too not fun, or all of those things combined together. And it's like, if you thought this was not the conclusion, what did you think was going to happen? And then later, of course, players became tired. They started thinking, you know what, this game is really not for me anymore. Because I'll tell you one thing, Magic players are basically 0 or 100. There are very few Magic players that are super, super hyper casual where they can play a game and then just kind of forget about the game for another couple months. They're either hyper devoted, really into every single preview, opening booster packs all the time, or they just don't care and they stop playing. And that's what's happening. Look, lots of my friends are leaving Magic for different card games. Grand Archive is one that's really popular right now among my play group, but I've heard people leaving for, Digimon, Final Fantasy, you got One Piece, right? All of these other card games. I guess there's also Sorcery coming out, right? Lorcana. All of these alternatives to your simple design like Magic with stack interactions, all these other things. On the other hand, all the old guards, the OGs who I really looked up to and respected when I first started this whole thing, they're selling. They're selling their reserve lists, they're selling their whole collections. And it's like, for me personally, I have way more cards than I can currently take in. And that's the reality. There's tons of people still selling their collections to me, and I don't know what to do with it. Because reality for me is like, I can't take in this many cards, still run this channel, give you guys content. That's crazy, right? That's too much work for me. But I see it. I see it in the market. I see it in the pulse and the lifeblood of this market. And it is not good. At least the old players are leaving. And I know there are new players because they contact me too. There's a lot of people who are still buying cards from me, will say things like, hey, Mark, I got into the game. My friend showed me this game. I really like it. I want to get more cards. How do I start? What are the things you recommend? I usually tell them, like, if you play Commander, get a pre-con. Those are the best way to enter the game. Or if you want to play Draft, here's what I recommend. Find the cheapest box, right? It doesn't really matter what it is. Open a box with your friends, draft it, really start understanding what's good, and read all these articles. You really try to get people into the game, right? And then do things like, you could play Cube, where it's basically kind of free, but the power level is really high, so it's really fun. And out there, us content creators, us people who are part of the community are doing all sorts of things to basically still save this crumbling community. And WOTC doesn't even understand what happened and what's wrong. So you have WOTC over there asking questions like, I don't understand why the players are leaving. Or our players are leaving? Are players not interested in our game? Why? We building more cards, right? They wanted more cards, so we gave them more cards, right? And they think the core problem is that Magic is not woke enough. We need more black people in Magic. We need more white people in Magic. We need more Asians in Magic. We do need more Asian people in Magic. But, and I don't, why is Oko evil again? Maybe Oko is like the hero of the Westerners, okay? Of the cowboy set. I don't know. We'll find out. We're not printing enough cards. We got to overprint everything, so everything's 0, right? Was Professor correct? If everything's 0, do people suddenly enjoy the game more? And all of these things that like Magic the Gathering, Wizard of the Coast try to do to make the players happy, did not actually make anyone happy. Because just like Mark Rosewater said a long time ago, if you try to make everybody happy, then no one's happy. Right? You should polarize the community. I know it sounds crazy when I say it like that, right? But you should have people who love your game, really love your game, and people who don't care about your game and don't like it. Guess what? Bye. You're not going to spend the money anyways, right? And at the end of the day, when they did all this work, which they think makes everyone happy, guess what? It didn't make anyone happy. Now they turn around and say, it's the player's fault. It's your fault that you don't like Magic. It's your fault. You're the people who are divisive. All the collectors, blah, blah, blah. We don't recognize the secondary market. It doesn't exist, right? But we know how much exactly the secret layer should cost. Or tell me, if you don't understand what the secondary market is, you don't look at card prices, why is Commander Masters the way it's priced? because you have good cards in it, because you have cards that are high demand in it? Is demand just another way to say money, cost? Let's be real, WOTC. Look, the product's getting diluted to the point where it's just not convincing for players. And every single time they buy any product, before they can even enjoy it, the next set is already out. In fact, before they can even enjoy it, the next 2 sets are out, and they're already behind by a whole set. And look, maybe all of this is just an impossible problem, and there's nothing that WOTC can actually do to solve it. Maybe that's true. I don't believe so, because I haven't even seen WOTC try, and that is the real problem. So why do I say that I haven't even seen WOTC try to solve these problems? Well, if you've been a fan of Magic the Gathering, you know exactly how Wizard of the Coast goes about solving problems. It's chaotic, it's unorganized, and there's no continuity, right? They try something very quickly, abandon it, they do these things. Look, I am one for rapid iterations. I work in the world of software, okay? And this is very common for us. You do versions, you try this, it didn't work, you abandon it. That's exactly how it works. But that doesn't mean I have to like how these decisions are made, right? And of course, look, I'm okay with small tests. But where WOTC really gets it wrong is all these decisions that they make it globally, holistically, and they don't even test the market. And as soon as people start getting used to that whole change, then they shift back and say, you know what, forget that, we're going to change this. What are some examples of this? Do you remember Pro Tours? First they said, we're going to have Pro Tours, blah, blah, blah. We're going to have these players. They're going to play with each other. It's great. And then, we're canceling the whole thing. Everybody who we signed up, sorry, bye, not having Pro Tours anymore. Okay, so Pro Play is out. We think Pro Play is not really for Magic. It's about casual format. And then people complain and say, we want to see professional players play. Okay, fine, it's back. Okay, it's back, guys. Like, professional games are back. See, modern tournament, it's great. Okay, hyper flashy cards are bad for totally not Magic. We don't need serialized cards, whatever. And turn around, start selling serialized one-of-one cards that are worth $2 million. Okay, super flashy era, 17,000 different types of foils. In fact, each set has to have 3 different types of foil, because how can we sell cards if we don't do that? Okay, cards should be reprinted and every card should be cheap, but of course we're going to reprint proxies to you for $1,000. Like, you see this whole just basically confusion of what they're trying to do, right? Let's ban cards as soon as they're released. We don't know what they're going to do. That's super unbalanced, whatever. Let's ban them, right? The release, 2 months ban. And of course, now we're release, unbanned. We're not going to ban it. We're going to unban cards, actually. In fact, we're going to set rotation to be longer, so we don't even rotate cards out. You're just going to have more of the card pool. Guess what? All the cards will make more money on it because we can keep selling it for 3 years now. Magic should be traditional. We shouldn't have guns, and Magic has a specific art style. This artwork, this kind of theme, it's not really Magic, okay? But now we have trains, we have guns, we can teleport, we have TARDISes, we have like Warhammer, las guns, we have alien zombies, we have Tau. Where's Magic going? We have orcs, but it's not the kind of orcs that's in Magic, Magic should be woke, right? Magic should be different. Magic should be representing every single race. Let's build Magic's IP. Let's go ahead and produce a Netflix show. Everybody's making Netflix shows. We should make our own too. Okay, no. Magic's IP suck. We should just brand it with everybody else. We should have like Mickey Mouse fighting against Bart Simpson on the rooftop of, the cathedral from Assassin's Creed. Okay, and of course, Cloud's gonna come in with his Buster Sword, cutting down, I don't know, some other character from Romance of the Three Kingdoms. What are we doing with Magic? This is crazy. And the thing is, I think why this keeps happening with Magic is because there's just too many cooks in the kitchen. There's so many people in there, in the headquarters of Ivory Tower, Wizard of the Coast, discussing all sorts of stuff. Like, oh, no, you're wrong, I'm right, you're right, I'm wrong. Your wife, my wife, I don't like you, we don't drink beer together. And then they can't agree. Everyone's trying their ideas. They're vying for power. Everyone's saying, hey, if you trust my idea, let's do it. And then basically they just can't even trust that longer period of time can fix these problems. One of the best examples of this was the whole reprinting of fetch. A lot of players were complaining, there's no fetch lands, we can't play modern without fetches, and fetches are so expensive. And Wizard of the Coast knew it was coming in Modern Horizons 2. They had to design that set 2 years in advance. So when they made Modern Horizons 1, they already planned the fetch lands to come out in Modern Horizons 2, but they couldn't really talk about it, right? And so they just kind of had to shut their mouth and don't say anything. But of course, players complain. And then finally, of course, like the set release, players are like, oh, that's great. And that's fine. That's a good way to solve it. But other sets, players complain and they just straight up ban cards. And it's like the solution was coming in the next set. You could have just waited a little bit. Yes, the meta is going to shift. I thought this whole point of printing new cards to shift meta so that your decks don't always play the best in the current meta. That's how a game should be, kept fresh, unique, interesting. And this is the thing. All of these solutions by Wizard of the Coast, whether I think they're right or wrong, that doesn't even matter. The thing that matters for me is it's super chaotic. And every single test, they can't do it in a small, controlled way. They have to do this chaotic test across the general population, across the whole world, affecting people's, from people's emotions and their feelings about certain cards to people's careers. I mean, what does it look like for professional players to have something that they can look up to, look for, sign contracts for, and then suddenly have the whole program canceled? That's terrible. And at this point of the video, we just have to talk about a topic that I think basically you knew is coming, I knew is coming, whatever, right? Universes Beyond. Look, Universes Beyond is a super short-sighted concept. And this is probably the most difficult part of the video because I know it's going to be polarizing. I know there's a lot of people who like Universes Beyond, and there's a lot of people who hate it. And there's a lot of people who think this is going to save Magic, other people who think this is going to absolutely kill Magic, right? Look, the best way I can put it for someone who loves Universes Beyond and don't understand why everyone's hating on it is imagine if every single Magic set was an unset. And whether you like it or not, they're all black border and legal in every single format, right? And that's where I think for a lot of people, these Universes Beyond cards have become. They're forced into your game, and a lot of people didn't like it, didn't need it, didn't want it. And now they have to deal with it. And for this part, I do blame Mark Rosewater for this, right? Because I know this is his theory. His theory has always been, look, I'm going to polarize the audience. I'm going to have people who, really love it versus the people who really hate it, and they're going to get together, and this is great. But I think in that concept, while at the core it's very pure, it's good, I think there has some big flaws if you apply to everything, especially in this design of Universes Beyond. Again, I'm not against the polarizing nature. I just think that you really have to evaluate the percentages on either side, right? You don't want to have a polarizing situation where 70% of people hate something and 30% of people love it. And a lot of times with Universes Beyond, that's exactly where it is. And the 30%, the 70% of people who hate this thing, they can't really do anything about it. I had friends who hated the fact that Warhammer is part of Magic now, that turn around in literally 2 to 3 weeks and say, you know what, I'm going to buy that card for my Jund Cube or for my this deck or that deck because I need it. It's the best card of that printing. It's, you print a unique card, it's like the best version. I have to get it. Look, I'm not denying that short-term Universes Beyond, Secret Lair, all this stuff will generate a ton of revenue for Wizard of the Coast. And maybe that's what they're looking for. It's a lot of these things. But long-term, is this really going to sell more product? Is it going to bring more product, more players to Magic? I highly, highly doubt it. And the thing is, look, not all of these deals and IPs and Universes Beyond crossovers are successful. I wonder how Doctor Who is going to do, or something like Fallout really is going to do well. Fallout, for those that don't understand the video game world, recently, like within the last, 3 years, 4 years, released a really terrible game. And the company, Bethesda, has been kind of in the shithouse since then. So I'm not sure how many people are so excited to get a Fallout crossover for Magic when there's still bad blood that has not been cleared for these things. And does Wizard even know that there's bad blood between the player base or the general public and Fallout? Are they just simply looking at, oh, look, this thing seemed to have sold well as a game. I'm sure people would love it, right? And the thing is, Wizard of the Coast doesn't understand how much this actually costs them in the long term. Now, short term, look, this drives sales, the numbers look good, but long term, had they spent this effort and money and all this money that they have to now pay for in royalties to build their own IPs, they can sell those IPs for longer with no royalties and no per, whatever, per print run type of like fee structure to these people, right? And at the core, it doesn't even matter if Universes Beyond is hyper successful, costs almost no money, because it does some irreparable permanent damage to Magic. Number one, dilution. Everyone can talk about it, but it's true, right? It dilutes the brand. It dilutes what makes Magic Magic. And we joke around, like I've joked around more than once in this video, but we joke around about Bart Simpson attacking your Nicol Bolas with a skateboard, riding a skateboard with a Morgul blade, right? And maybe he's like, maybe he's not riding a skateboard, he's riding red hair. That's a Portal 3 Kingdom reference, by the way. This kind of stuff. Is this really what we want in Magic? I'm just not sure, right? Like, I personally don't want to see it, no matter how much I love Warhammer 40K or Portal 3 Kingdom. Honestly, if I could give up any of those things so that Magic stays the way it is, I'd be very, very happy, right? But now, what we joked about a long time ago, that's reality now. This Bart Simpson reality is actually just around the corner, right? No matter how much we despise this future, we're all frogs in boiling water, and that water has been boiling, and we're about to get toasted. We're about to get boiled, ready to eat, all that stuff. So we're already there. It's not a conversation of where or how we're going to get there. We've already been there, right? But I wonder if the difference nowadays is that a lot of players have just accepted all of this changes due to apathy. It's not because they've actually accepted this because they think it's actually beneficial or it's something that's good for the game or it's fun. I remember back when, playing Magic games or Commander games, somebody slapped down a Sword of Dungeons and Dragons, and we just think it's kind of funny, right? We chuckle, and it's a cool card. The artwork's nice. It is a little funny that you have to, do the things you have to do on that card, but it's not like it's another sword. It's cool, right? But nowadays, it's like you can't really move on because the moment that sword comes down, somebody else is dropping, I don't know, descending with blood angels from their, spaceship. And then I'm sending in Tyranids to go fight against your Necrons. I mean, can you imagine? That is what Magic the Gathering is. If you didn't know, you probably, if you just watched that part of the video, you might have thought that, Warhammer 40K had a card game, right? Maybe it's just me, but I don't want to see a Chun-Li teleportation deck in a TARDIS summoning Sauron with Rick Grimes buffing the whole team. It just, something about it just doesn't make any sense. And again, like I said, I love 40K. I really like the story. I love the fact that we had Commander decks built for it. But if I could give up all of that to just not have Universes Beyond and all this crazy secret layer stuff, in an instant, I give that up. I trade it. And that's the truth. That's how much I don't think Universes Beyond is a good idea for Magic. And maybe I'm just the old man. Maybe I'm just weird, different, whatever. And I don't understand your music, right? I don't understand the young people's music. Maybe that's the problem. But I don't think I'm wrong. And that's the thing. It is where it is now. So where does this lead us? Long term for Magic, all this erosion, dilution is actually going to lead Magic into a place where I don't know if Wizard of the Coast actually realized yet. Remember, the MCU exists because the iconic characters, because the storylines and people, the people who built it, all the things that happen, right? People love MCU or people love Marvel really, because Spider-Man, Iron Man, Captain America, Nick Fury, all these important characters that really shaped what Marvel is and all the storylines, right? They didn't fall in love with Marvel first and then start looking at the superheroes, but they fell in love with the superheroes. And that's exactly how the movies were built. I mean, you didn't have Avengers, you had the individual films, then you had they come together, assemble the squad type of movie. And I feel like the problem is Wizard of the Coast now is already at the assemble the squad place, and they really haven't done anything to go and build all of the individual pieces. And had they just spent more effort to go build the individual pieces, build up all the characters and their storyline, really flesh out the future, past, present, I think it would make a lot more sense and people will care about Wizards Magic Gathering historically a lot more. Right now, players don't even know that there's an overarching story to Magic, and they're going to lose even more of this with dilution, because who's going to care about a Magic story when there's all these other characters in Magic the Gathering already? You're like, why Sauron here? Is there a storyline where like Liliana meets with, I don't know, like Doctor Who? Is that how this works? And the thing is, look, short term, crossovers are great. You're getting a lot of injection of fuel. But longer term, like it'll be actually harder and harder to make crossovers with other IPs for two reasons. One, you're going to exhaust all the important IPs, and then you have to go get the IPs that really aren't worth a lot, or just kind of like are old. They're not really like, or they have a very small player base. Or you have to double tap in certain IPs, and now they're going to charge you a lot more because, hey, look, the first time we didn't know, right? But now we know, we can sell. Hey, it is what it is. All the IPs, of course, long term, it's going to cost more money just to continue to like hold that branding, hold that relationship. Look, and if Magic starts bleeding the player base because of all this, intrusion, dilution, erosion of the core game, who's going to want to partner with Magic, right? So I partner with Magic because I feel like I'm going to get more out of Magic because it's a bigger card game, bigger audience than me. But if longer term, I'm the big fish, I'm the person grabbing all the audience, why do I want to then partner with Magic? And then it becomes harder and harder to even negotiate deals with these IPs. You'd probably have to pay more and then get way less. And then what happens? Because that's all you have. All your players already left because all these universes beyond is already part of the game, remember, permanently. So when the IPs have a crossover with you, they build a set and they move on. They still make their TV shows, whatever. These cards now will exist in Magic forever. And whether you like it or not, it's going to be there. So how many more IPs want to come in and say, oh, you already have 40,000 cards that are not, us. Why would I want to be the, 51st card? It doesn't make a lot of sense, right? And so, of course, IPs are less willing long-term to go partner with Magic. And once every single universe is beyond leave, there's no more, crossovers from Magic. And Magic's already basically put their own IP in, in tatters, a shambling ghast, if you will, of its former self. Then what's the future? Is there even a future? So at this point in the video, right, maybe the conclusion was always like, hey, Mark, so maybe you spent a whole video telling me that Magic is dead, right? Well, I guess what I'm trying to say is not dead yet. There's a lot of things that can still happen and really turn around the path. But here, I'm going to be honest, if Wizard of the Coast doesn't change course and this is the path they're going to go, yes, absolutely, this is super, super critical. And I think they're critically flawed in choosing this path and thinking that they're right. And it hurts me even more, right? That they're so confident in this path right now that they, in fact, built a 3-year plan around it and told everyone about it. Like if you look at the 2024, 2025, 2026 lineup, all of this stuff is Universe Beyond and dilution of Magic own IP. Now there's still going to be sets that are set in Magic, but you can already tell like a lot of things are changing. They're just going to be different. Yeah, and the thing is like, will it die in 3 years? Definitely no. That's a firm no. I can tell you right now. Magic is too big currently. The momentum is strong. It's just really gonna, even if it dies, it can't do it so quickly. It will deteriorate quickly. But again, it doesn't die immediately. And I think we're going to start seeing that deterioration and basically shrinkage in the player base probably maybe actually this year. And this is maybe a pivotal point for Magic where a lot of other card games are coming in and stealing market share. And really all it takes is another 1, 2, maybe 3 card games to succeed out of the, honestly, tens of card games that are now coming to market now, right? And other factors are in play too, right? So that were never in play before. We talk about other card games scooping up players. But really, how will Magic the Gathering handle collectability? Because this, at least, is something that a lot of other card games have really thought through and really made an effort, like teams devoted to this stuff. Is Magic going to reprint the reserve list and drive all the vintage investors away? Or are we going to have more serialized cards, right, for Post Malone to go buy? That also does matter long-term for Magic's future, right? And the core is this. The core thing that's going to determine whether Magic dies or not is how do the Magic sets actually play out? Are the sets going to be good? Are there like mechanics that are interesting? People want to just like jam games. They want to go draft these sets, right? And how far does WOTC push the fans? Are they going to more price increases around the horizon, more expensive booster boxes and options for you to go buy? And when your booster boxes, let's say, cost like 3 to 5x when your standard booster boxes cost 3 to 5x of other card games, let me ask you, are you going to play Magic? Are you going to still stick around with this game? Or are you going to go check out the other games that cost a third of the price and it's just as good and maybe even better? And with that, we're at the last part of this video. And really, it's all about basically, can Magic be saved? Is there a future salvation for Magic? Yes, I think totally. For a game that has this much like of a history, of even a strong IP currently, that, you know, I know it's diluting and all that stuff, eroding, but there's so much more that they can still dig up and save. And as long as they put enough effort into it, they can definitely, there's enough room for a complete reset of Magic, right? But this reset is going to take really tough challenges. Number one, it's going to take humility, right? Magic and Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro has to realize they're wrong. This course is wrong. This path is wrong. They're going to have to really say, we did it. We fucked up. We're going to do something better. And they're going to have to recognize this issue. They're going to recognize that the fact that this path, there are some positives, but there are a lot of negatives. And they have to go and recognize that they are making, problematic sets and things. And lastly, really put in that effort to go fix it and change it. Not just this half-assed like, hey, we're going to do a change or chaotically change something or change something for 3 seconds. It didn't work, so change it back. That's where I think really, if they put their effort into these 3 things, a reset of Magic the Gathering is completely possible. Who's to say Magic the Gathering can't redesign a lot of the underlying like craft? Remember, in the past, we used to have rule changes that would update and actually change the whole game. Why can't that happen again? But there's another part of this, or another aspect, I should say. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we're all wrong. Maybe all the old people who are kind of looking at this, we're all looking at it incorrectly, right? Look, I can appreciate that. While I may not understand it, right? All this universes beyond and crossovers and woke cardboard is really about peddling to the next generation, right? Whenever I think about this part, I think about the original Star Trek. Very famously, it was known to be a show that was actually doing really well on cable, right? But for some reason, the advertising, the rating agency said, hey, this show wasn't too popular, so they actually went through and canceled it. Well, what they didn't realize was that Star Trek actually had the best viewing audience of I think it was 26-year-old and plus to 35 or something around that range. Right out of college, first job, couple years in. And guess who had all the disposable income to go spend on anything? This is prime advertiser hours, right? And Star Trek had it. So even though by the original set of ratings, they were terrible, they actually were doing the best. And they missed out that opportunity. And maybe I'm thinking, when I think about the current situation, Magic with Universes Beyond, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this whole thing is to pedal to that next generation who's more willing to spend money. They have more disposable incomes. And then, we're just the dying population that really should not be part of Magic anymore, right? And the kids' younger generation will take over. So maybe while I don't like it, that might be the exact reason why all these things are happening to Magic. But I do want to put a word of caution. Even down this path, I don't want to give WOTC the easy way out, right? Just because I said, hey, this is a possibility, that doesn't mean that it's a future I have to accept, right? Where one set of audience must die for another set to have space to grow. Could there be a new game that Wizards of the Coast could spin off and just make it for that other generation? I think through these problems really seriously because I think this is at the core of what's causing Magic to be actually going down the path that doesn't appeal to me and many other people who are like-minded to me. And while I don't have a clear answer, right? We have lots of good questions. And these good questions are the ones that we, as players, as customers, as investors and collectors of Magic the Gathering, of Wizards of the Coast product, as Hasbro shareholders, these are the problems and questions we should be pushing onto Wizards of the Coast, and they should give us a great answer. That's going to do it for me for today. Long video. Thank you guys all for sticking through it. I hope it's really helpful because it's really heartfelt, all the ideas I put together for this video to kind of just show you the things I'm thinking about with Magic Gathering. This is Mark from Solo Games. Thank you for sticking around for such a long video. I hope you enjoy your day and stay classy.